Hi, you guys, and welcome to another episode of The Creative Heart. My name is Gideon. I'm also known as Gideon's Light, and I'm your creatively fit coach. So, this week's Creative Heart prompt is a radial kind of composition like this. And this is just one example of that. And I cannot wait to show you what I did in my art journal this week using radial composition as my creative prompt. But besides the radial composition, I also showed you guys how to create a beautiful background using alcohol, and also how to create beautiful collage papers using my jelly plate print process, and a lot of interesting little things that we played with. So I cannot wait to get into this today. So if you want to see how I created this radial composition in my art journal, then stick around, because I'm going to turn the camera around and show you exactly how. Right, so let's get into this interesting composition that we are going to be playing with today. Is a radial composition. Now this can be applied in a variety of ways. My illustration for myself on this chart is simply like the rising sun and the rays coming out of that. But there are a number of examples on the internet for you to look at if you want to explore a radial composition and how that can be used and applied in your art. In a classical painting of the saints, you would see a radial composition with the halo that the artist has painted around the saint or person's head, or the angel. And that is always beautiful to behold. I'm going to put that aside, because for today's radial composition I wanted to just play with my prompt card box, because I always think it takes me in a direction that I have not thought of. And I always think that is fun, because it helps me to explore ideas and bringing elements together on my page that I might not have thought of before. So I don't always work with my prompt box. Last week I had such a clear vision of what I wanted to do with the grid composition that I didn't even look at my prompt box. Oops. But today I do want to play with my prompt box, and it's always fun to see what shall we call it? Synchronicity or chance, opportunity presents itself and then takes the whole sort of composition in a unique direction that you might not have considered before. And I think that is where, for me, a creative practice can become quite expanding and enriching, because you make use of random things that take you in interesting journeys in your art journal. So I have no idea about today. I thought of doing a radial composition in a particular way, but let's see what the prompt system brings for us, because I haven't made any color choices, or I haven't dug out anything from my collage collection in my box. So let's see. The first one I have here is the color blue. Okay, cool. We can play with the color blue, and I think what I'm going to do, depending on what I find in my box, I might make the background blue today and play on top of that. Let's do another one. Let's see, what's this? Alcohol. Okay, so we can play with a bit of alcohol for texture. That could be interesting. And in a way that can form its own multiple radial kind of effects. Let's draw one more. Let's see what's hiding underneath here. Print or transfer. Okay, So what I'm going to do is, as I draw these cards and I haven't completed the little pocket on the side, then when I'm actually doing that technique, I might just fill it in and in that way complete my little prompt box. So using alcohol to print or transfer, that could be fun. Maybe a way to create papers or find papers where I've used that technique. So let's get started with that and see where that takes us on our journey. So I'm going to put these prompt cards away and I'm going to, oh well, another one popped out, contrast. Contrast is always a good technique or method or design principle that helps us to create beautiful artworks. Right, so I'm gonna start with that, and then maybe I also thought while I was thinking about today's composition to maybe play with the technique on this foundation. So looking at what we already have here, maybe it could be interesting if I create a busy background and then with a collage with very plain paper on top of that to quiet it down and to bring contrast in that way between a neutral kind of paper that doesn't have any print or design on it and it's just shape, because I was thinking of shards that radially come out from the center or some kind of interesting point on my surface here today. Maybe another thing that I can consider is the golden rule of 3, and then decide that the main sort of focus out of which the radiation or radial composition will flow will draw the eye to one of these 4 corners on my page, and I think that is far more interesting than putting it in the middle of the page and radiating out from there, because that would be so expected or normal or, I don't know, boring. So yes, let's not be boring. So I think what we can do is I can show you guys how to play with paint and then how to use alcohol to break things up. And I think what we can start with is first to do a print or transfer technique that I quite like to play with. So I'm going to pause the video, get my art supplies, and then when we come back, I'm going to show you guys how to create this interesting background. Right, you guys, welcome to this creative session. Today I'm going to play on this page of mine in my journal, and I'm going to be using some of the prompts that I drew, which is to print or transfer, to use contrast, the color blue, and to play with alcohol. So that's going to be fun. So I want to show you guys exactly how you can use your art materials to create an interesting background. So what I've got here for today is I've got my Lucas Krull Prussian blue, which is a beautiful dark navy blue or like an indigo blue, and I've got my cyan blue, which is beautiful. And I thought of first painting my background with this darker blue and then get into that with the alcohol. So I'm gonna just rush ahead and paint this foundation of my page a beautiful Prussian blue, and I'm somewhere going to put the paint directly on here and get into this, because I want this background to be quite dark and intense, so that when I put the lighter blue on top of that and I play with the alcohol, then what the alcohol will do is it will push the paint away and in that create a beautiful, interesting cellular kind of texture that I quite like to play with in my artwork. So to start off, I think a dark background will give us a nice foundation to let that technique shine and come to the foreground. And then what we will do with the collage later is I'm going to also show you guys how I'm going to create my own golden paper and create interesting collage elements with the gold, because I think gold and blue really goes very well together, don't you think? And in that, it's also a beautiful contrast that we can play with that will really speak about this radial composition in a beautiful way in our journal. So I'm going to get on with this painting, and with it, when this is dried, I'll come back and show you exactly how to take it from there. Right, you guys, now that we have created some beautiful papers, we can begin to now think about how we're going to use this in our collage in an interesting way to support this whole radial composition. I'm thinking one of the best ways to do that is to turn your paper over, and I'm thinking about creating triangles. So I'm going to use a pencil and my ruler, and I think maybe let's just do a bit of a circle, and then we can create some connection points on here. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, and then in an interesting way, let's draw some triangles that is coming out of this point that would look interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then when we're done with that, I will come back and cut it out, and then I will use them in my collage. So I'm always interested to see how this will turn out, because in a way I'm forgetting what is on the underneath here, and when I cut them out and I turn them around, it's always fun to see what was included. So I'm going to do another one there, another one there, and another one there, because we also need thin ones, eh? Thin ones, thick ones, skinny ones, long ones, short ones, all of the above. I'm sure it will begin to make sense to you shortly. So this is one way. I'm sure there's another way to do this. Maybe in a comment, tell me what you would do to create interesting triangles. I'm going to do one there as well. Oopsie daisy. Okay, so now let's get to the scissors. And then you just cut out your triangles that you've got. You can also tear it out, however you want to, you know, whatever look you or texture you want to give to your triangles. You can also do just straight strips and arrange that around a circular point. So triangles is just the way that I'm approaching this radial composition. Look at these beautiful little triangle pieces. We definitely will need long ones as well, so I'll definitely do another approach on one of my other pages where I can do long circles. I mean, not circles, triangles. Do you see what I mean? I think one thing and I say another. It's because I'm looking at this circle in here and my brain just picks up everything. So I do struggle with some dyslexia, and it's one of the challenges in my life. Alrighty then, welcome back. So we're getting into this radial composition. I have created my triangles, and earlier on my Patreon we explored how to create our own collage elements, and we played with ordinary orange paper that I used my jelly plate print and plate, and I played with gold and all kinds of yummy golden textures to create this beautiful paper that I'm going to be using in my art journal today. And I also showed my patrons how to create this very beautiful and interesting background by playing with alcohol, and the alcohol helps me to create this beautiful structures that looks like cells, and that is our background. So if you want to see how I created this, then get over to my Patreon page and become a member, and I will show you guys exactly how I play with all of these textures and elements in order to be creative. Right, so now what I want to do is I want to add these collage elements in a radial fashion around basically this circle space here, and then in that way we create contrast, and it leads the viewer's eye right into this center of interest. So before I stick things down, I thought I must just create myself a circular space that is not too big. So I think I might just use my cup, or let's use Right, so our collage elements has dried mostly, and we definitely have a beautiful radial composition. But now the question to me is, okay, so all this focus to this point, as beautiful as the background is, it's rather pointing to empty space. So I do think we need a bit of a focal point, so I digged through my stash and I got this beautiful spiral that I embellished with a bit of gold, and it also has a bit of a gold background with a bit of black. So I think I'm going to stick it there, because a spiral is also a form of radial composition and a radial form. And I think after I stuck this down, I will come and play a little bit with my oil pastels as well. There's some corners that I think can be finished off with a bit of oil pastel just to blend these aspects a little bit better. I need to finish that angle as well, just to complete that triangle there a little bit. So I think I'm going to do all of that, and when I come back I will show you guys how I finish this off with my oil pastel and call it a day. Right, I'm happy with what I've done here. So now it's just a matter of finishing touches and playing. So this almost reminds me of the sun, or even like the Japanese flag. These are all examples of some radial composition, and it is found in nature quite frequently and commonly. Think of a flower. That is a very good example of a radial composition found in nature. So I'm just using my oil pastels here just to complete little suggestions of these triangles where I don't want to bother with fine little triangles. That's a little bit difficult to stick down, and it's just my art journal, you know, so I can play and just allow myself to be in the moment with what I am creating. And oil pastel is a very nice way to fix up little areas where your color might not be completely what you wanted it to be, or there's an area that tore or that needs to be finished on the page. So in that way it sort of heals the whole of your composition. I think that is fabulous. What do you guys think? This was a lot of fun. There was a lot we did today. We really started with a beautiful background and played with some alcohol. So we really did look at our prompts. So we used the alcohol. We did a print or a transfer. We used the jelly plate to create these beautiful golden papers that we used for the radial effect. And contrast, we achieved to get contrast because we're using a complementary color scheme, and that is a sure way to create contrast. And we started off with the color blue. So all of our prompts took us to this beautiful place in our journey with our art journal and exploring the radial composition that is our prompt for this week. So I'm really curious if you are going to use this week's prompt in your art journal. Remember to take a photograph and share it with me on the Creative Heart. If you're new to my channel and you've watched this far, then I'm really assured that you found your tribe. Hit that subscribe button, the like button and the bell button, simply because I want you to be notified every time a new episode premieres on my channel. And if you are ready to dive even deeper into your creative practice, then use the link in the description of this video and join my Patreon, because there I'm showing you all the details in how to create beautiful collage papers and techniques that you can use on your canvas or on any other surface where you want to play with acrylic paints and multimedia. So I'm really excited to see you guys over there, and I'm also looking forward to this October, because coming this October 2023, it will be my first Buddha Full October program that I'll be launching. And I plan to paint the Buddha with you guys every October for my birthday month. So there is a lot over at Patreon that you will receive, especially for the month of October, where is my main focus. There will be a video every day that you can watch. I'm going to take you through 2 big Buddha painting programs that you can create yourself, and I'm also going to do some lives and some fun sessions with you guys where we will explore painting the Buddha and making it accessible and easy and fun for anyone at any level of your art skills. So do check that out over at my Patreon. And also don't forget to join my Creative Heart group on Facebook, where we get to support you and cheer you on your creative journey. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys again next week, Monday, for another episode of The Creative Heart. So stay creative, and bye-bye for now.